Hello there. My name is Jonathan Lee. Everybody just calls me John, though that's totally fine. I'll be your facilitator slash instructor for Net 125. This is going to be the first course towards obtaining your CCNA certification. And so this will be a little bit of a step up from networking basics that you might have already had. Some of you might have already taken a course similar to this at some other institute, so some of this might be review for you, but for others, this is all going to be brand new. Okay, so what I wanted to do was kind of step you through a little bit of working with Netacad, and in particular with a product called Packet Tracer. So what we're going to do, okay, this is the home screen for Net 125, and I've got to put a picture in here. I haven't done that yet. Okay, if you look down here under course links, course modules, okay, we're going to go ahead and open that. All right, now don't forget to do your enrollment verification. You have to do your enrollment verification before Module 1 will open. So Module 1 is there and it's all ready to go, but you have to do the EV before you can open it up, and that's just school policy. Sorry about that. But what I wanted to show you was this, link to Netacad. Now, you don't have to follow this link. You can just type in your browser window, you can just type in www.netacad.com and it'll take you there. But if you forget, then you can just click on this link and click Open Netacad in New Window. And ta-da, here we are at Netacad. Now, you should have gotten an invitation in your email which will enable you to enroll in this class. If you're not enrolled in the class, then you're not going to be able to access any of this material. But once you're enrolled, then you're going to log in. I'm already logged in right here. You're going to log in, and then once you log in, it should take you to your classes. Okay, now, my classes. Okay, now this semester I'm only teaching one Netacad class, and this is it right here. If you're taking multiple Netacad classes, then you'll have a whole list of them, but this is the only one I've got for right now, which that's going to change in February actually, because I'm picking up another class then. But for right now, this is the only one. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. This is Cisco's new format. If you've taken a class under Cisco before, then this is going to look a lot different. However, the content, all the material is going to be the same as what you're used to. It's just they've changed the look and feel of it a little bit. I guess trying to, stay modern or whatever. All right, don't pay too much attention to this due date. That is way out in the future. And all this stuff should be available starting on 5 January. So, even the stuff that we haven't really covered yet, you can still look ahead at it if you want to some extent. But the main thing I wanted to show you, okay, whenever you open this up, you can just kind of scroll down through this material and it'll tell you what we're going to be covering in the first unit. This video is good. I didn't make my own Packet Tracer download video. Actually, I may have. But you can use the video that they provide, and it steps you through the steps that you need to take to install Packet Tracer on your machine at home. If you're using computers here at the community college, probably Packet Tracer is already installed. But once you've got Packet Tracer installed, here's another video that kind of tells you a little bit about what we're going to be doing today. What I want to do is walk you through 1.0.5 Packet Tracer, just so you can kind of see how this thing looks on your computer. So right here, you see where it says logical and physical mode exploration? All this is a PDF, and it's a document that says, okay, well, here's what you're going to be doing. This download icon here, this is the actual Packet Tracer assignment that you're going to be working on. So we're going to go ahead and download that guy. Okay, here it is. and double click on this. And I've already got Packet Tracer installed on this computer, although I think the version of Packet Tracer that I'm using is like one generation back. So at some point in time, I need to update Packet Tracer on this computer. On my other computer, it's got the latest and greatest, but this machine that I'm using today is a school computer, and so I am limited as to what I can do on a school computer. You know, not that they don't trust me. They just don't want me installing viruses or whatever. Okay, so Packet Tracer takes a minute, but eventually it will open. Okay, all right, now this is a very high-level overview of my topology. And as you can see from up here in the left-hand corner, see right here where it says physical? Okay, this is a physical topology map. We can change this if we want to a logical topology. And now, okay, this is much more like what we're used to seeing. Okay, it's like I got a router here, I got a public access cloud, I got a data center out here somewhere, and then I've got gigabit Ethernet connecting these switches together, got a wireless connection to this laptop. Now, what this doesn't really indicate to me is the distance that we're talking about, because when we make a logical diagram, you know, we don't really care if this is 1 mile or, you know, 10,000 miles. It doesn't really matter to us. It's just the cloud connecting in between these devices, these two. This home gateway is actually a router slash all-in-one combo device. Okay, we're going to go back to the physical mode. Now then, read the background scenario material. Okay, don't just skip over that. I'm not going to read it to you. I'm assuming everybody can read and write English pretty fluently. Okay, so now we're going to start in with our instructions. Part 1, investigate the bottom toolbar. Okay, this down here is what it's referring to when it says bottom toolbar. Network devices, end devices. Right here we've got some components, just a few, but we usually don't use that. Connectors, we use that all the time. Okay, so this little lightning bolt here, if you use this to connect like a switch to a router, it'll automatically put in the proper cable for you. Unfortunately, what it doesn't allow you to do is pick exactly which port you want to use. Now, if you use a console cable or straight through cable or crossover cable or fiber cable, then it'll ask you which port do you want to connect this cable to. And so these are the ones we're going to use most of the time. Sometimes if I'm just like slapping together a topology and I don't really care, then I'll use the lightning bolt, and it just puts the best cable in between the devices that it can accommodate. Anyway, so when it says investigate, it says network devices, and you know, what are the subcategories for network devices? Well, routers, switches, hubs. There's only a few of those. You know, nobody uses hubs anymore. Wireless access devices, got a bunch of those. And then security appliances, got a couple of those, which we may play with later on in the semester. And then cloud, WAN emulation. You can either use the Packet Tracer Cloud, which is already pre-configured. You can also use the empty cloud, in which case you configure it yourself, or you can just put in a DSL modem or cable modem, depending on what you need to do for that particular assignment. Okay, so that's the network devices. And you're going to get used to, okay, 90% of what we do is going to be using network devices and end devices. But if you look under these and you don't find what you need, then look over here, look over here. You know, sometimes what you need will be in one of these subcategories. All right, so investigate the devices in a wiring closet. All right, so we're still in physical mode because we did not go exploring. But see right here where it says physical mode and intercity. Okay, you see right over here, there's like this little compass looking thing. It's the navigation panel. If you click on that, then this says, okay, which level do you want to look at? And we can say, okay, well, we want to look at Warrenton, and it'll jump us down to Warrenton. Or we can say rack 1, jump to rack 1. Okay, it's not the fastest in the world. Okay, so this is a rack. We're going to be looking at this more in just a minute. But it says go to inner city. That's where we want to be. Okay, close that out. That's just the navigation panel. Okay, now it says click Seward and then click branch office. Okay, so here's Seward. I've never been there. I've heard it's nice. Now click on branch office. Okay, so this is the branch office wiring closet. I'm going to open that up. Okay, so we have a rack with some equipment in it. We have some cables that are already pre-installed for us. Okay, and we've got, this is our cable selection that we can use. So if we want to use a USB cable, we can just grab one and plug it in somewhere. Click on it again to deselect it. We got a couple of different kinds of fiber cables that we can use. We got some coaxial cable. Then we've got these copper straight through cables. Let's see, I don't think we have any crossover cables on this particular configuration, but sometimes you'll see those. And these light blue cables over here, these are console cables. So most of the time when it says connect console cable from the PC to the router or switch or whatever, then this is what you're going to use most of the time. Okay, so what does it say now? Pegboard, shelf. Okay, this is equipment over here on the shelf. This is equipment that we have that we can play with, but it's not currently connected. So it's just sitting there waiting to be connected and switched on. Okay, let's see. Below the router, okay, up here's your router, and you can zoom in. You can hold down the control key and then scroll, and you can zoom in. And you can see that, okay, here's the edge router, here's switch 1, here's switch 2, here's our console port for the router. This is an auxiliary port for the router that we will not be using. And the switches, these are Catalyst, looks like 2900 series. Yeah, so these guys have console ports, but we can't see the console port. If we wanted to see the console port, then what we'd have to do is right click on this thing and then click on inspect front. Okay, whoops, sorry about that. Okay, what we want to do is inspect rear. Okay, this is the front of the switch. Okay, the switch ports are all in the front, but in the rear is where you've got your power connector and your console port. So if you need to connect a console to one of these switches, then you have to go, you have to look in the back of it for that port. Okay, let me just X this out. I'm not used to having it zoomed quite this much. So let me just back off of this a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, now below the router are two switches, ALS1 and ALS2. It says here, what devices use a wired connection to connect to switch ALS2? Okay, well here's a handy thing. This is ALS2. We can see there's some different cables here. If we mouse over that cable, it tells us that, okay, this is connecting ALS2 to the web server. Okay, so web server is one of the devices. This cable here connects us to the access point, which is this thing right here. And the cable is understood to like go through the rack and come out. If we zoom in on this wireless access, then you can see that there is indeed a cable connected to it, but that cable just kind of goes off into la la land somewhere. But this is connected to ALS2. This is the switch or the cable right here. Now you'll see there's a couple more cables here. These guys are gigabit Ethernet cables, and these are just connecting these two switches together. And these cables can either be, you can just plug them in and leave them as is, or you can aggregate these cables together. So instead of having two 1 gigabit links, you have one 2 gigabit links. And there's some reasons for doing that, mostly just to make our lives easier from a management standpoint. And we'll play with that some. I don't know if we'll do that much in 125, but in 126, you definitely will learn, excuse me, how to aggregate links together and build ether channels. Sorry, I'm coughing. I'm not normally coughing, it's just that I'm talking a lot. Okay, so below the switches, we got a wireless access point. Which device is connected to the access point? Well, we already discovered that it's connected to ALS2. Okay, now it says here, switch to switch to logical mode. Okay, now in logical mode, you can see that we have a laptop connected to the access point wirelessly. You know, obviously in physical mode, you can't see a wireless connection, but in logical mode, you can. Okay, now we're going to switch back to physical mode. And it says, where is that laptop physically located? Well, it's sitting right here on the table. Right there it is. Laptop 1. All right, now it says it wants us to connect some end devices to the networking devices. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to find some cables. It says here we need 2 console cables, 10 copper straight through cables, some fiber cables, some coax cables, and some USB cables. All right. Okay, look in logical mode. Yes, the cable representations are definitely different because they're logical, not physical. This is more like what you're going to see in the lab. If you ever come in and do a physical lab, then you'll just grab cables and start connecting things. All right, where were we? Switch to physical mode, we're there. Copper straight through cable. Okay, copper straight through cable. Float your mouse over the port PC1 until you see the fast Ethernet port. There it is. Click on it. Okay, so now we've connected one end of the cable to that port. Now it says here, copper straight through, click on fast Ethernet, then connect it to ALS2. Okay, now it doesn't tell us which port on ALS2 to connect to. In some of your lab activities, it will. There it goes. In some of your lab activities, it'll tell you a specific port to use, and you'll lose points if you don't connect to that port. Okay, so we've connected to that. Let's see. Okay, it says here use a console cable. Using the RS-232 port on PC1, which is this right here. Okay, this is, hang on, let me zoom it just a skosh. There we go. Okay, here goes our RS-232 port. Although, it is not highlighting for me, but let's see if we can get that to change. All right, we're going to grab a console cable, one of these light blue console cables. And now, there it goes. See how it turned purple? We're going to connect to that RS-232 port, and then the other, oh, oops, I'm afraid I skipped a step. Oh, maybe not. Okay, we're going to connect to the console port here. Click. Okay, so now we're connected to Edge router. And what else do we need to do? Okay, cool. So we have connected a console port to Edge router, and that's all it wants us to do for right this minute. Now, okay, here we go. We're going to install a backup router. So let's zoom out just a little. Oh, zoom out just a little bit, not a whole lot. Okay, so right over here goes my backup router. Okay, no problem. All right, I'm going to grab this backup router, and this is a rack mount device, so I can just put it in a slot like right here, and voila, it's connected. Okay, now the problem with this thing is it's not powered on. See, this thing is powered off right now, so we can't really do much with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on it, and then I'm going to inspect rear. Okay, see right over here is an on and off switch. Now I have turned that device on. Okay, so now it's on, it's booting up. Okay, what's the next thing we're supposed to do? On the cable pegboard, choose a USB cable. Okay, so we're going to get fancy. We're going to take a USB cable, and we're going to connect one end of it to the backup router. Okay, so we got to inspect rear. Okay, and we're looking for where we can plug in a USB console. Okay, right here it is. And you can zoom this if you need to, but right here goes your USB console. Okay, so we're going to connect that. Okay, now the other end, we're supposed to connect this thing up to the laptop, and we need to find a USB port on the laptop. Oh, there one is, USB 1. And again, you can zoom this if you need to, so that you can see it better. And go over, see we're connected to that USB port on the laptop. Man, my mouse is really sensitive. It's like it zooms way out further than I want to. It's okay. Okay, now we want to configure our new backup router with a host name. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the configuration on the router, and we're going to enter some commands. So let's click on the laptop and click on desktop and go to terminal. Okay, bits per second, this 9600, 8 data bits, 1 stop bit, no parity, no flow control. This is going to be pretty much the same every time we connect, whether we're using RS-232 or USB, it doesn't really matter. Okay, would we like to enter the initial configuration? No, because that takes like 10 minutes and I don't really want to sit here that long. Okay, so this is our default router prompt. We're going to change that. Okay, so here's our commands that we're going to use. We're going to use enable. Now, you can shortcut these commands. You don't have to necessarily type out the whole thing. So instead of typing, you can either type configure terminal. You could type configure terminal, or you can type in config T, or even conf T. I think that's as short as you can go with it. You have to have enough. You have to give the computer enough clues to know what you're talking about. If you just type in con, then that can mean configure or connect or other things too. So there's some ambiguity there. But with CONF, there's no ambiguity. But I usually type in config just to be on the safe side. Okay, now what does it want us to do? Okay, we're going to configure terminal. Here we are. It says we want to change the host name. Okay, get used to this, because on pretty much every assignment there is, one of the first things you're going to do is change the host name. Usually to like R1 or R2 or something like that. But in our case, we want to change it to edge underscore router underscore backup. Okay, see what happened to our prompt? It changed from router to edge router backup. And you might be wondering, well, what the heck, why do you want to do this? Well, if you're sitting here and you're configuring like 5 different routers, if they all just say router, well, it gets quickly confusing for you to remember like which router it is you're programming right this minute. Whereas if you've got, okay, now if we go to the regular router, which we can do, let's put this window over here for a second. And let's go to the PC. And let's go to the desktop, terminal. Okay, because remember, we connected this thing to a device. Okay, see here? This router is called Edge Router. Okay, so now we know. Okay, if we've got this prompt, we're looking at the Edge Router. And if we've got this prompt, we're looking at the Edge Router backup. So that way we can have these windows on screen side by side, and we don't accidentally enter the wrong commands into the wrong window. All right, what else are we supposed to do here? Okay, display name and a host name. Okay, so if you look at, because we've changed the host name for the Edge Router, right? But if we look up here, if we click on the Edge Router, the backup router, and config. Okay, see here? The host name is Edge Router Backup. The display name is Backup Router. These can be different. Sometimes you don't care, you're just putting stuff together. But other times it might wind up being important. So if I look out here, okay, here's Edge Router, and I should see Edge Router. Where the heck? Oh, okay, there it goes. Okay, backup router, you might be wondering, well, what the heck good is backup router doing right now? Well, not much. Okay, backup router is just connected to the laptop, so it's really not doing anything as far as routing goes. The only thing it's plugged into is a console port to our laptop. So if we go back over here to physical and we look, okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. Because if we look up here, see there's nothing plugged into these gigabit ports. So this router is basically, it's switched on, but it's just sitting there. It's not doing anything. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to show you guys, when you get done with one of these packet tracers, what you're going to do is click on Check Results. Okay, it says here, congratulations on completing this activity. So a couple things I want you guys to do. Number one, use the Windows Snipping tool, which I've got around here somewhere. Snip and Sketch. Okay, use the Windows Snipping tool to cut. Caramba, it takes forever. Okay, just what I need to see is all these green checks. Okay, so snip this right here. Okay, save this as a JPEG. So we'll just, okay, you guys know how to save it. Save it as a screenshot, JPEG, shoot. You can just name it whatever you want. We'll just save it as a screenshot for right this minute. Okay, and then the other thing I need you guys to submit is your PKA file. So go up here where it says File. We want to save as, and save it as, let's see, JL's 1.05 packet tracer. Okay, and I'll save that, right? Then whenever I go to submit my assignments on Blackboard, I will upload the JPEG and the PKA. And let's see if we can see how to do that. Where did I put that lab activity? I don't remember. Right here, I suppose. Okay, let us go back. Okay, we're going to go back to Canvas and we're going to go home. And then we're going to go to our modules. And okay, see right here where it says Packet Tracer 1.05 upload. Okay, what I'm going to do is, oh shoot, I've got to set this thing up so you guys can actually submit to this. So let's do this. Okay, and let's see, points. We'll give it 100 points. It's an assignment. Submission type is going to be online. You can use text entry or file uploads or a combination of both. Unlimited attempts, and save it. We won't put a due date on this one. Okay, cool deal. View a student. Oh, crud. Okay, I haven't done my EV, so I can't do it yet. So, shoot, sorry about that. All right, but once you do your enrollment verification, then you will be able to upload this thing. And if you have any trouble uploading these files, just let me know. It's pretty straightforward, and I'm guessing you've had other classes where you've done this. So anyways, sorry, golly, this has gone on for 30 minutes. That's amazing. Okay, sorry about the lengthy video. I'll try to not be so long-winded next time. Anyways, welcome to Net 125, and hopefully this helps you be able to upload assignments. And I will be talking to you guys very soon. All right, have a good day.